The following is from a series of poems, which was the first chapbook, by the way, that I published. It was published online at a literary magazine called Former People, and the name of the chapbook is Plastic Millennium. It's a book of geopolitical poems, and geopolitics has been with us for several centuries. But in its modern incarnation, it really started with World War II, and then morphed into the Cold War in the 1950s. Now, we tend to think that the Cold War was something of an accident that the world just stumbled into, but in some very important respects, it was a policy decision, and it began in the early 1950s with the drafting of a NSC document called NSC 68, which was in response to both the Chinese Revolution, the Chinese Communist Revolution, and more significantly from an American point of view, the end of the American nuclear monopoly, because in 1949, the Soviets successfully tested their first atomic bomb, and that really alarmed people in Washington. As a result, a secret document was drawn up which planned for an increase of 400% in arms spending. It was not something the American public really wanted. World War II had just been fought and won, and as far as average Americans were concerned, it was time for a peacetime economy and a reduced military. The Cold War brought about very elevated military budgets, which have stayed with us until the fall of the Berlin Wall. At that time, or soon after, Gulf War I happened, and the military budgets have never really gone down significantly. We've got very used to this idea that militaries should be funded at really exorbitant amounts of money. However, historically, nation states used to build up their militaries in times of war or for preparation for war, and then reduce the size of their militaries in peacetime. What we have now is constant military spending, as if we are constantly at war. So this is the first poem from that cycle. It's entitled Meat. The weapons folk are in cafeterias where the menu is swell. For lunch, they have quail and snail and foie gras on crisps, while in the middle of the table, supplied by Raytheon, sits a calf. Half cooked with beams, its meat delicious and bleeding.